Folks, thanks for joining us for a Rip City reunion, welcoming back the 1999-2000 Trailblazers squad. We've got Coach Dunleavy, Damon Stoudamire, Steve Smith, Bonzi Wells for you. We'll open it up to questions.
Bonzi, what do you...
Hold on, I got something.
Okay.
Both teams played hard.
Bonzi, what do you wish this group is remembered by?
I get the first question?
Yeah.
I get the first question.
I mean, I hope it's good things. I mean, I know what the narrative was, but I just hope people just understand where our heart was when we was here, how hard we wanted to play for the city, and how bad we wanted to win. And that's basically it. I'm just super excited to be here.
Coach, how about you?
You know, pretty much the same thing. I mean, we had a good run. My years here were, really special to me and my family. Really embraced the town. My son Mike won a state championship here with, Jesuit, and we had a great run. And with the guys we had on our team, we played. Every night we threw out a group of guys that really gave a big effort. I felt like we were a very deep team, and every night somebody had if you just look at our scoring, like our leading scorer I think was Rasheed. I don't remember, like 17 points a game. We had 5 or 6 guys in double figures. We shared the ball. We played both ends of the floor. I think we were like 3rd in offense and 5th in defense. And the one thing I always talked about was if you had a chance to win a championship, you had to be in the top 10. I don't know how many teams have ever won a championship without being in the top 10 in defense. And we joke around about it now, but we had a million coverages, and that was my philosophy, was that, you never know who you're going to run into in the playoffs, and you got to be able to change up on people. And I think we did that. Then we gave a great effort. And obviously that series, getting down 3-1, it showed our mettle, showed who we were about. A lot of teams would have, folded. I mean, like Lakers won 67 games that year. I think we were second with 59. So you got Kobe, you got Shaq. A lot of people would say, all right, that's it. We missed our opportunity, but our guys fought back hard, and obviously we had that 7th game where we played lights out, and really, like, even in that 4th quarter, we were up 13, and first play went to Steve, and he scored down in the post. We were up 15, and then we went through that stretch where we missed 13 straight shots, and of those 13 shots, 11 of them were great, 2 of them were good. I mean, one of them, when I say good, it was a wide open, long range shot by Scotty. I mean, he could make one, and that 4th quarter, we had 1 turnover. And we had 1 missed defensive assignment. When I brought Sheed back in the game, he missed. He was late getting out of the post on a rotation to the corner for Brian Shaw in the corner. Other than that, we played a great game. And so anyway, I've got great memories about the team and that series, and we felt like that series was going to be the championship.
Steve, do you have photographic memory like that about the 4th quarter? Like, do you relive that game?
I have bad memories. I'll start off. We were cheated. But other than that, I think what we remember by is probably one of the most talented groups in NBA history. Coach said it, unselfish. No one had egos. We played the game because we had a great feel. If Damon was going, the ball was going to Damon. If Bonzi was going, it was going to Bonzi. So I don't think we knew she was our best player. And obviously she would get his, but it was so many guys that understood the game of basketball where we didn't have to have that much communication, which was a treat for me. I had been around a long time. Damon, one of the smartest point guards. That's why he's a coach now. Just understood. You take a guy that had the ball in his hand probably his whole life, but was just effective without the ball in his hand, could play, multiple ways to win games. So that's the one thing I tell my kids, that I felt like we were NBA 2K. You could play Bonzi at the 5 if you had to. You could play Bonzi at the 1. And I think Mike had that luxury of saying we were so interchangeable.
But do you relive Game 7 like Mike?
I've only watched it once. I relived it then, try not to forget it, but I remember all the little things that could have turned to series in that game. But I think even going back some of the games before that.
Damon, have you rewatched that game, and what do you think of most when you think about that series?
I ain't watched it.
No, just can't do it.
I just, it's hard. Like it just, I don't. Most of the fellas that I've talked to, they haven't watched it. They don't watch it. If I see it on television, I turn it.
Do you guys talk about it when you get together? Like if you meet up like this?
We talked about it last night.
Yeah, well, we talk. Yeah.
Talked about Steve going down the middle with 34 seconds and getting planted by Shaq. And I told a story about the next year when I was in the meeting with all the referees, and I never complained. Literally, back in the day, I never called into the league office and cried to anybody. But somebody made a smart comment about our team, and I put them all on the spot. I said, okay, one of you guys stand up. You swear to me on the lives of your kids and your grandkids. Somebody tell me that was not a foul. Not one guy. After the fact, I wish we had challenge flags back then. I would have thrown one there, and I would have thrown one on Sabonis's fifth foul. If you go back and look at that season, we played those guys 11 times. And the plus minus when Sabonis was on the floor versus them, like we killed him. He got his foul 5 was, whatever. It is what it is, but 5 fouls definitely phantom. And 6 you'd have to look at and say, okay, where did he foul him? But I want to tell you one good story though, because he's not here, about Rasheed Wallace, because he set the world record for technical fouls, 41 under my watch, but Rasheed was one of my favorite players. And before I came here, because I played in Philly, I played in the Baker League, that's where he's from, and I talked to a lot of people about him, and I knew him as a player, and I don't know any player that didn't love Rasheed. Rasheed, practiced all the time. He was always a team guy, and he was always about everybody else getting credit, not so much him. But this is one of my favorite stories. Coming out of huddle, going into huddle, down 1, we got the last possession, and I'm like, okay, I'm going Rasheed on that left box. So we go into the huddle, and I said, okay, Sheed, we're going to run this play, and Pip, you coming off Rasheed, and we're going to dump it down into Rasheed. Rasheed, turn right shoulder and just end this thing. He goes, Coach, no, I don't want it. Give it one of the other guys. Now, a lot of people would take that as, damn, guy didn't want the shot at the end of the game. But I knew that wasn't true about him. I just knew that he always wanted to deflect and he wanted to be the center of attention. So I said, oh, okay, no problem. I said, okay, so Pip, you're going to come off of, off of Sheet, send him a good screen. Damon, you put the ball in the money and let Pip knock down that, 17-footer, we go home. Walked down the corner, I said to Damon and Pip, come here. If either one of you two guys even think about shooting the ball, I will kill you. Throw it into Sheed. Throws it into Sheed, right shoulder, turn around, game over. But a lot of people don't know that about him, and I think I just want to set the things straight about really what a great team player he was. 'Cause a lot of people saw him out there and being this angry guy and getting teased all the time, but he was a main fiber of our team, obviously by his statistics, but just even from a standpoint of just who he was and how he was felt about, by his teammates.
Bonzi, I think you still interact with Rasheed. How do you think he feels about Portland and how he was received?
Oh, I know she loves Portland, and he really wanted to be here. He just had some other obligations, but Rasheed, if you know Rasheed, is to love Rasheed. And if you can get in his inner circle, you can really learn who the essence of Rasheed is. And, deep down inside, I know Rasheed loved his time here. He appreciated everybody here. He appreciated the fans. If you remember Rasheed, he did so many different things in the community. If you know Rasheed, that was just him, who he is as a person and as a man. And I just think, I wish he could have been here, because I know just him being celebrated out here, is just good for him and everything he's been going through the last couple of years. He lost his mom a couple of years ago, so he's been going through a lot. So I thought this would have been great for him just to feel that love, because I know, it would have been special for him.
Is there a player on that 2000 team that you guys feel like, maybe even somebody that hasn't come up yet today, is there somebody that you feel like doesn't get enough credit for what they brought to the team or what they did?
You can look at every one of them and feel that way because everybody had the ability to, if it was about stats and numbers, to do, so much more. I mean, we went in, I told us I think it was David and Steve this morning, I said, we had so many guys, and I was a matchup attack guy. If Steve or Bonzi had somebody, we'd post those guys up, or Damon in the pick and roll, somebody weak in the pick and roll, we'd run 100 pick and rolls that night. And then the next morning, when I'd come in to our staff, I'd say to our first thing I'd ask the guys, like, who hates me this morning? who didn't get their numbers last night? In a kidding way, because everybody was willing to defer, but you always wanted to, the next night is like, okay, well, let me run 2 plays for that guy to make sure that he knows that we just, we're together, we love each other, and, we're going to play that way.
The biggest thing about this group was that everybody supported each other. And I don't think enough was talked about that. And you have to understand, when this team was put together, everybody was coming from their place as a number one option. And so there was going to be some sacrifice, and the sacrifice was on the run. And so the things that and the narratives that were put out at times, they were just ahead of their times, and at times they were created, right? They were created by outside forces. When I was in Boston, it was crazy to me as a coach that everybody put this wedge between Jason and JB, and I got there and I never seen it. And so we all supported each other through the rough times, and I don't think, to me, that don't get enough credit. You know what I mean? Because everybody needed somebody to lean on at times, because like Mike said, Mike was going to do what he was going to do, but we still had to go out there and we had to play. And so whether it was Smitty, whether it was Bonds, whoever that might have been, you got to remember, guys were used to playing 35, 40 minutes, and that just wasn't the case. It just wasn't the case. And so I think the most underrated thing about this team was the unselfishness and how much we supported each other behind closed doors. If somebody had a party, I remember we was in Atlanta. It was Steve had a set. He had a party. We was there. If one person went out, we all went out. Yeah, you know the drill. And so we all supported each other. It did not matter. And I thought that was something that I hadn't had as a player. That don't happen on teams. It doesn't happen, and it didn't matter. Okay, the white guys too. Sabonis was up in the spot. Yeah. Deadlift Shrimp was up in the spot. People wouldn't know that. And so there were a lot of times that, and a lot of times that we needed each other, and those things, they shouldn't go unnoticed, how this group supported each other within when each guy was struggling with whatever that might have been what they were struggling with.
So when you guys get back together like this, what's it like being around each other again? Do you guys slide right back into 2000 mode, or what's been the highlight of the last day or so?
We all live in Atlanta. We all live in Atlanta.
I think, I hadn't seen Joe Klein in a long time.
That was good to see Joe. Really good to see Joe.
He's in Arkansas.
Yeah.
Most of the other guys, I haven't seen Whitsitt
I talked to him
in a long time.
I talked to him.
He's here.
I hadn't seen him. Yeah, he's here.
Yeah.
It was good. It was good to see. To me, it's good to see guys, because regardless of what happens, I think that we don't like to talk about it, but the reality of it is that, man, we probably got more years behind us than we got in front of us. And so to get these moments, you don't get these moments. And so I was telling somebody, I was talking to the group, on matter of fact, I was talking to Stacey Augman, and I was talking to Stace, and I was just telling him how, like, man, like right now for me, like everything is like process driven. I don't really care about the end result, so I think about a lot. When I think of this team, I think about how it even started. I think about when I got traded here in '98. I think about Rasheed. It came 5-6 months before that, like the makings of what was going on. You know what I'm saying? And then me and Mike were talking earlier. Then you turn you turn JR and Jimmy into Steve. Like that's the makings of the team. So to me, it's like the process, and you see all these different things, and you see it happen, and that for me is why I like coming back, because everybody on this team. Another thing that's not talked about enough is there are a lot of successful people in this group away from us playing. And so to hear stories and to hear and to see where guys are at and to learn about what they're doing after what we did, that's, for me, those are big. So I enjoy this because it gives me a chance to tap into guys and what they're doing now today because, again, we're here to talk about this. But, man, this was so long ago at the same time. But it's great to remember and be recognized. And as a guy from Portland, Oregon, I would say this. I think that it's long overdue. We did not win a championship. We did not go to the finals. But aside from those couple Clyde Drexler teams, I think this was the best team. I really do. I think that, had we been able to achieve a little bit more, I think we would have been the best group that this organization's ever had. That's just me going all the way back to as far back as I can remember. So for me, I'm happy to be here. I'm glad I came, and I wouldn't have missed it for the world.
When's the last time you've been in this building?
Well, I was here with Boston, so it's been
not at work.
It's been about 8 years, maybe 7, 8 years.
Important to come back now.
Well, it was important, and I said this. I talked about this. It was important for me to come back because of guys like Bonzi, and I say this for Bonzi. Like me and Smitty, and even Mike. Like this is like a great chapter for us, right? But Bonzi came here as a rookie, and so he was. This is where he cut his teeth, right? So I was drafted by Toronto. Toronto still embraced me. I go out there, I do different things, but for me, like for guys like him, like this means something. Like, it means something to him. So if it means something to him, it means something to me. And so, I just think like those are important, and it's important for him to get the recognition and the love that he deserves, because at the end of the day, like he's one of y'all. He's one of ours here, and I think that that's important. So that's why I'm back. I mean, I come to Portland. I still come to Portland 3 times a year. I got family. I keep up. I still got OregonLive.com. I read the Athletic. I read the little articles. So I'm still doing it because I got roots here regardless. Right. This home for me. But it's big for, again, and I'm using Bonzi, and I'm only using Bonzi because, again, Smitty wasn't drafted by the Blazers. Mike wasn't drafted by the Blazers. But, guys like Bonds, this is where he cut his teeth, man. So this is where he learned it, and, it's time to let whatever it is, whatever was there, it's just time to let it go. That's all.
I guess I would say, do you guys not realize that you're beloved here in town? Because I hope you recognize that people love this team. And I mean, I don't know how things went, but like, I think you guys might be surprised how much you guys are beloved.
I would say this, and I'm not speaking for everybody up here. I don't think that is. I never got that feeling, but what happens is that I think you. And again, it's from me being here with and being a native and seeing the other teams. I think that you can at times become a prisoner of the moment of what's going on. And so I think the frustrating thing as a basketball player, what I've seen over the years, right, and these guys can chime in on it, as you go around the country, man, we were revered. But then you come here and it's like, sometimes you didn't feel that way. Just being honest, right? Through the good and the bad, not saying that everything was always perfect and everything was always rosy, because I understand that as well, and everybody has their prerogative to do different things. And I've talked to different people. Me and Jason Quick, I won't reveal our conversations, but we've talked, and there's different things. And man, I kind of understood. I use this a lot now that I'm coaching. Mike, I got this. I got a good one, man. You got to understand the assignment. And so at times we didn't understand the assignment, and we didn't understand, you know, how we were viewed, but I also think that we were judged against the past. And that's not fair because we were who we were, and it happens, right? But that does not make us any worse than anyone else. And I think that that's again, not speaking for everybody, but I think that that's what it may feel like. I didn't speak for Steve's character if something happened to me. I didn't speak for Steve's character. I own it. I'll own it. You know, and you move on. But Steve is Steve, you know. Mike is Mike. Because something might have happened to me, that don't mean that Mike didn't instill no discipline in me. It's not on Mike to do that. Like, Mike didn't raise me. He's my basketball coach, you know. And so the attention to detail that I learned at home, you know, I was defiant on that if that was something that happened to me. And so that's kind of how I see it, you know what I mean? But again, you know, you get to be older. You get your own kids, you realize that some of the stuff, it is what it is. And I even tell Bonzi all the time, I'm like, man, them people love you up here. I said, you know, it's just what has happened is that, you know, time goes on, but then the reality is that the world moves on because some of the stuff that was going on. See, Greg, the politician, have Greg been up here yet? Oh, man, so the politician, he's like, man, the stuff that we was doing back then, we couldn't have got away with. I'm like, Greg, in 2025, man, the Blazers would be one of the most covered teams. The 2000 team would have been one of the most covered teams in the NBA right now today. This team that we had back then, now, hands down, it would be Mike's deal to keep us all in check.
Well, that's what I was doing.
All right, thanks, everyone.
One real quick one. If you could pass on kudos to your coaching skills to the Blazers of today, each of you, what would you pass on to the team that they have assembled?
I would tell you the first thing I say, everything when I go play a game. When I walk in after that game, I look in the mirror and I said, I gave it all tonight. I might not have played, I might have made some shots, but like for me, it would be I'm taking charges. And I may not be the greatest defender of all time, but I'm the greatest team defender of all time. Is the way I looked at it. I'm going to do what I got to do, and always pick your teammate up. Like I try to coach with confidence. I try not to be the guy with the whip, and you know. I mean, I always felt that the first thing I try to do for players not playing well is give them as much confidence as I can, run a play for them to get a score. These players are like sharks. You get them a score, and all of a sudden, next thing they're hot as can be. But the main thing is play hard and play together.
Hey, Steve, piggybacking off what Damon said is, how should this team be remembered? How should the city view that group?
I think the one thing, you know, because I got a chance to be around, just like Mike and Bonzi and Damon, we've seen different organizations. I think Damon hit it. They don't know how close-knit we were, how much we all had to endure, but we were still supporting each other. I think the one thing I don't think was written enough back then, because I'm older now and look back, how much this group did in the community had nothing to do with basketball. To what Damon said, what Bonzi, Mike knows, I mean, every community event, it was at least 15 guys there. And there was a lot of different things we did in the community that I think people took for granted. That there was a lot of things she did he didn't want anybody to know, but one of the most charitable guys. So I think that's the one thing I would say, looking back, how much we did in the community that had nothing to do with basketball.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.